So, welcome to the Age of Gaia. This is the very first episode on Conscious Awakening Network. And so I'm testing the waters here, hoping this is actually working. So I've pressed the live button. It's recording, it's doing something, and I'll find out later if it actually is working. So I welcome all of you to this show. The Age of Gaia is really it's about all of us. It's about all of us discovering who we are in this age, what we're here for, our purpose, our destiny. And it's about discovering the tools in order to achieve this destiny. This is a continuation in some ways of the Age of Pandora broadcast that I was doing with my friend David Shurjan a couple of years ago, where we were interviewing a number of people, leaders in this field of consciousness, teachers, healers, conscious activists. And it's about setting a stage, creating a conversation that supports each of us in a multidimensional way: heart, mind, body, soul. What are we here to create? How do we bring these aspects of us together? How do we weave an interdisciplinary container for birthing this new age? So I'm excited about sharing this journey with each of you. Please come join us every week. It's going to be Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or Mountain whatever time it's going to be. And we'll go for an hour and a half perhaps. If there's questions, I'm happy to take questions. If there's comments, we'll find a way to weave it in. You can always email me at Kiara@eternaldoorway.com. Kiara@eternaldoorway.com with any questions, comments, anything that you find interesting, anything you want to question or contest. So this, to me, is a conversation. And if I can figure out how to turn the chat function on, maybe this can be happening live as well. So as I said, this is something I'm just learning, the technology. I'm not a techie. So it may take me a little bit longer to get on board. Meanwhile, just a little bit of a summary of what I feel like we could make this channel to be. We are, as many of you know, at the cusp of New Age, whatever that means for anybody. You know, this is about moving out from Homo sapiens sapiens, this current root race, this aspect of humanity which has focused on the development of the mind, the rational mind, sometimes to the expense of other aspects of our being. There's many, many layers of the mind beyond the rational. There's many aspects of our heart. There's many interweaving bodies that are connected together through electromagnetic fields. So we'll speak about all of this. We'll maybe do some practices and exercises to open this connection between the bodies, to discover our purpose here as a human species, as a transitional species on this earth. Because it's also true that the next species that's emerging will have elements that are very different from what we're experiencing today. It may be that these elements have to do with opening up certain senses that have been dormant, opening up channels to other dimensions that have been lost, where we begin to access higher levels of the mind, such as the intuitive levels, the overmental level, the supramental levels. So we'll speak about this. We'll see how we can access that, and we'll learn how to integrate that, not only on a personal level, but also as a species. I do feel that at some point, perhaps very close in our future, that we'll be actually making a leap, a quantum shift between our current journey of humanity into a next root race, the next species. So, what does that mean? This is what we can begin to explore in a different way. So, I just want to start with making an assertion here that everything that's going on today, all the chaos and the craziness that seems to be prevalent in the world around us, still has a purpose. It's not something that we necessarily need to be fearful about, even though it may be quite troublesome at times. There's a learning, there's a process, there's a deeper process than what we're perhaps aware. I'm currently traveling in the United States, here on the California coast right now. And one thing I'm very aware of is that astrologically speaking, the United States is going through a Pluto return in its chart. And what does that mean? For those of you who may be familiar with astrology, there's all the different planetary energies with their different cycles that converge together, that interact with each other. Pluto represents the energies of death and rebirth, this renewal, this resurrection. Often it requires the collapse of an old world order in order for something new to be birthed. It also represents karmic balance. It's the letting go of old conditioning, of old paradigms, of karmic cycles. So, as we're all aware of, the United States has a huge karmic history of genocide and of imbalance with nature, with other races of humanity, with with its own mission, its own purpose. So this is being brought into balance. America, in the teachings of Saint Germain, represents the I am race. America is an anagram of the I am race. So we're not just talking about one country, we're actually talking about humanity as a whole, simply because this country represents the melting pot that has brought so many different races together across the earth, so many cultures together from different corners of this planet into a melting pot, a cauldron of possibility, with different sciences and different arts and histories, different technologies, different ways of seeing and being are being brought together into a unity. Not easy, not always something that we find simple. But that's what Pluto is about. It's about this cauldron of potentials that's being birthed, sometimes through the ashes of an old world. And this is what, I'm sure that each one of us has been going through the dark night of the soul in some ways, whether it's on a personal level, whether it's in relationship to a planetary journey, in opposition or in in reaction to events going on this earth at this time. Wars and imbalances and agendas that have to do with enslavement and fear. All this is part of this journey, this Pluto return. On the other side of it, the Pluto return is also about rebirth. What are we giving birth to? What are the new potentials that are emerging? So as we look at who we are and what we are to become, it becomes important to examine this potential. Sri Aurobindo speaks a lot about the transitional nature of our species. And I like to think of it in terms of the ancient Sumerian or Judeo-Christian symbol of the two trees in the garden. So there's the tree of knowledge, which is the development of the rational mind, the knowledge of good and evil, the system of duality that we seem to be embroiled in. Duality representing the dance of opposites, sometimes in conflict with each other. So we are moving from that towards the experience of the tree of life. What does that mean? What is the tree of life? It's the unity consciousness. It's the unification of the five bodies that we have developed over long eons of evolution. The nervous system that we come in with at this time in our human history is a fairly advanced piece of art. But there's more to go. The nervous system that includes the functions of the three brains, the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, the new brain, the chakra systems, and beyond that, the spherical linkages to the soul of the earth, to the soul of the cosmos. This is also something that we're beginning to experience and establish in our energetic bodies. So I would rather be here at this time on this earth than anywhere else in this universe. And that statement is not something I would make lightly. There were many, many times in my life and I couldn't wait to leave, get away, escape from this earth. It's not easy to be here with all the density, with all the violence, with all the imbalance, with all the fear, with all the control systems, the dramas that we face, the enslavement that has been the nature of reality across the years. It's not easy. And it's only warrior souls that have chosen to be here. And we're here on invitation of Mother Earth. We may think that we somehow found our way here. There's no plan. It's all been just a haphazard work of chance. But that's one level of awareness. And another level of awareness, it's all part of this beautiful, powerful, amazing destiny. And Mother Earth has called us here as warrior souls to participate in this great awakening. So this is what I mean by the Age of Gaia. Gaia represents the Earth in her multidimensional organic beingness, not just as a piece of dirt beneath our feet, not just in a physical form, but also including the etheric body of the earth, the mental and emotional aspects of the earth, and the soul of the earth. So just like we humans have these five bodies interweaving together to create a personal structure that we call the human self, so does Mother Earth have these interweaving bodies that are linked together to create an organic whole. This is the soul of the earth. This is the intelligence that moves through our planet in an evolutionary journey, which we are a part of. We are not separate from Gaia. We are Gaia. We are experiencing ourselves as an unfolding um, drama that we call Gaia. So often we've tried to separate ourselves. We see ourselves as something higher than, or more than, or better than the rest of species on this earth, or even of this earth itself. Somehow kind of arrived in some space-time dimension, which we call physical, at some point in history, through an accident of circumstances, through long eons of evolution. Yes, that's one piece of it, but there's also an evolutionary plan. We could call it a divine plan that has brought us here, and we are part of that. So when I talk about the age of Gaia, it's about this organic wholeness, this galactic being that we find ourselves birthed upon for a very specific and evolutionary purpose. So this is what I want to investigate in these weekly podcasts. Where we go with this, who knows? I would like to be able to interview some of the leading voices at this time. If you are one of these and would like to be on air together, if you know people who would like to be engaged in this dialogue, please invite them and invite yourself. Let's make this a participatory event. Let's ask some difficult questions and find some answers that are relevant to our journey. If not us, who? If not now, when? And that's the challenge that we are given. I know that many people find this time extremely difficult, especially with all the COVID restrictions and the years of being controlled and being told what to do and who we are and what we cannot and may not do with ourselves and the space around us. It's very difficult to find balance and discern the truth at times, given all the different narratives that we are told. It's very difficult to find balance in the midst of all the narratives around war and culture and what is right and wrong. The different, we get caught up in this political battle between left and right, and in this country, Democrat and Republican, which have nothing to do with who we are. It's simply polarizing aspects of ourselves and then identifying with that and forgetting the truth of who we are, which is that we are here on this earth to make a difference. We're here on this earth to participate in something much bigger than these stories that have become so real, these narratives that seem to be more important than our collective journey together. So this is our theme for these moments. One thing I might also do, so just sharing some perspectives, some interviews with other people who hold similar and sometimes opposing points of view. I would also be happy to share some writings. There's been a few books that I've been working on, 4 of them which will actually be out in the market before the end of this month, which will be available on Amazon and other avenues. And I'm happy to share some of what this is about. Some of it is nonfiction, some of it is fictional. Gaia Luminous represents this collective journey, bringing together different aspects of our journey together. So scientific, cultural, spiritual, psychological, mythological, looking at the mechanics of this shift that we're going through, looking at cycles of time, galactic cycles and solar cycles and planetary cycles and cycles within cycles, where we are today and how this converges with where we've been in other times in history, all of this giving us clues to where we might be going. Are we going to go through cataclysms? Are we going to go through um, extinction events as we have in the past? We're going through a magnetic reversal, which is a very specific event that takes place every 12,000 years or so. And I'll speak more about that and what that means and how this affects our relationship with each other, within ourselves, and with the earth around us, how this affects our relationship with the soul, what happens to the five bodies, the interaction between them as the magnetic fields holding them together start to weaken and then collapse. How do we actually walk this path in beauty when all we see is chaos? So these are questions that are so meaningful at this time for so many of us. So many of us have lost hope in anything good ever happening through this process. And so part of this is also about providing hope, not a false hope, not a Pollyanna kind of hope, which is about wishful thinking, but really something that is capable of holding a perspective that includes the big picture. And once we can get the big picture, then the little pieces of this jigsaw puzzle start falling into place. And it's much easier to find our own place within that. So you're all probably familiar with the story of Pandora's box. This is a story from Greek mythology where the gods gave this beautiful golden box to a maiden named Pandora. And so she's given this box. She's told never to open it or wait till the right moment. Then she's told that it's okay to open up this box. Now, what is in this box? And like all of us, we become curious. What's inside? You know, it's like if you're told not to do something, there's going to be the tendency to open the box, to look at what's the forbidden fruit, to challenge those voices that tell us what we're not capable of or not allowed to do. You know, we are on a path of freedom. We're on a path of self-discovery. Sometimes it takes us through the darkness. Sometimes it takes us through dark nights. But this is our destiny. We are here to move through forbidden places. And that's what Pandora's box is about. We're here to open that box, to see what's inside. And at first, it's chaos. All the ills of humanity start surfacing, being spewed out into the world. But maybe it's not what's inside the box that's chaotic and painful or evil. Maybe it's our reaction to that. Because if you're not capable, if you don't experience ourselves as willing to surrender to these forces that are extremely powerful, that emerge from the underworld of Gaia, then we find ourselves, tossed around in these dark times. And that's what many of us are experiencing. Pandora's box is open. So quickly, as soon as the box is opened, what Pandora does is immediately close that box in horror. Unfortunately, what's left inside that box, the only thing left in that box, is hope. And it's the hope that's capable of mending what's been lost, mending and healing the chaos that's been set forth into the world. This is the hope that we're here now to remember, to set loose. And this is the hope that is bigger than our current understanding. And I really sincerely feel that as we are opening, as we allow ourselves to open to the big picture, that hope rises spontaneously, because hope is not about something we need to create within ourselves. Hope comes from relationship with something bigger than ourselves. Hope comes in understanding larger cycles of life, the bigger patterns of creation, the stream of evolution that is taking us beyond what we know and beyond what we've recognized as truth. So we are on a journey of hope. Many of you have watched the two Avatar movies. There's a third one coming, I suppose, end of this year or next year. I love this series. I love the depiction of who we are, you know, as these blue beings on Pandora, who are so deeply connected with the forces of life, with Awa, the soul of this planet, Pandora. It's a metaphor for our relationship with the soul of the earth. It's a metaphor for what's possible for each one of us as we learn how to connect with the soul of the earth, the tree of life. Remember the braid that's used to link up with the forces of interweaving life force that pervade this planet Pandora. It's in everything, in the trees, in the forests, in the animals and birds, and the plants, and the beings who inhabit this world, the Navi. And then they come the off-worlders who are out of balance, who cannot remember who they are, who therefore need to control and dominate and plunder. And this is our story too. And it's a story that has led us to the very end of existence on this earth. We cannot survive much more. We are preparing for an extinction level event. Our relationship with the earth has taken us right to the edge of survival, whether it has to do with ecocide, whether it has to do with nuclear destruction, or whether it has to do with the cultural dissolution. Who are we? Are we going to descend back into the dark ages? Are we forgotten who we are? Are we going to let this AI, artificial intelligence, take over the organic intelligence that comes from the soul? Or can the two come together? It's not about a choice between, it's about merging the two. Every time there's a conflict, it's about seeing a higher integration. Every time there's war, it's about looking at both sides and realizing that there's a win-win. Are we ready to enter into this win-win? Are we ready to connect with the earth in a new way? Are we ready to see each other in ways that we haven't allowed? Are we ready to examine ourselves to see what is potential within us? So this is our journey. So what I would like to do is to maybe bring together different streams. One of the streams that's been important for me is the work of Sri Aurobindo and his spiritual partner, Mother Mira Alfasa. There's many indigenous cultures, shamanic cultures, the prophecies that they have about these times. There's different cycles. There's a cycle of the yugas from ancient India. There's the Mayan, Inca, Hopi cycles, Egyptian prophecies and calendar systems. So they're all pointing to the same thing. And prophecy, as I see it, is not so much looking at the future. Yes, there's aspects of that, but also remembering the past. What happened before? And what does this mean in terms of what could happen in the future? Because if we are looking at history in terms of cycles, rather than an arrow of time, rather than simply a linear progression of events, these cycles remind us and teach us about what is to come. If we get to that same place in the current cycle as we experienced in the previous cycle, we know what to expect, we know what our choices are, and we know how we can contribute to making better choices, to aligning with soul, our own human soul, the planetary soul, the cosmic or universal soul. This is the gift that we're given at this time. And like I said, we are a species in transition. We are given opportunities. And it's not the end of our species. There may be aspects of our species that need to die, but there's a rebirth going on at the same time. And this has to do with the cellular biological consciousness. There's a shift taking place that's not just on a mental level, it's also on a physical, biological, cellular level. And when this happens, it's collective. So once we begin this journey, we find that there's morphogenetic fields that we're linking up with. And what this morphogenetic field is about is the recognition that each of us is connected to each other within this field. And as one person is able to open up to new consciousness or new possibilities, it enables the whole collective to do so as well. As one person is enabled to reach higher states of consciousness, what some would call enlightened states of consciousness, then it also allows the collective. As one species enters a certain state of harmony and unification, then others can follow. And it's a collective journey. We all support each other. And we're not the only species on this planet. We're not the only sentient or conscious species on this planet. Just like we, in our own bodies, have different systems interacting with each other, so does Gaia, Mother Earth. We have a circulatory system. The blood flow through the arteries and the veins, the capillaries, bringing nutrients to every part of the body. The circulatory system of the earth is the oceans, the rivers, evaporation of water going downstream back to the sea. We have muscular systems, skeletal systems, nervous systems, reproductive systems even, and so does the earth. There's different species that represent different aspects of consciousness, just like we have different organs that represent different functions in our own physical human bodies. So it's all fractal, it's all holographic. We are the earth, in other words. So when the alchemists talk about as above, so below, this is the truth. We don't necessarily recognize this with our conscious linear mind, but we are aware of this on deeper levels. The mystics talk about this. We have dreams and visions of what is possible. We are becoming more and more aware of altered states of consciousness. There's the beta consciousness, which is a normal, ordinary waking state. There's layers of consciousness below that, the alpha, theta, delta, and so on. There's harmonics above that, the gamma state of consciousness, for instance, which is a genius level. Once we can harmonize with that, then we can be fully awakened or fully awake in consciousness, while at the same time accessing um, states of consciousness that are related to what we call non-ordinary. Our senses open, our perceptions open. We open to levels of the mind that we don't have access to in ordinary states. So this is all part of our awakening. It's part of a cellular journey we're on. And this is something that is spontaneously and organically opening up for all of us. So as one person opens up to some of these possibilities, it provides a gateway for the rest. And there's many children on this earth right now who are being born in these times, who carry these memories, who carry these potentials. It's our task also to support them, to allow them to be who they are, to remember, to stay alive to these possibilities, not to have to become conditioned once again to adult values, to to fake realities that no longer work for anybody. We allow them to become our teachers. At every generation takes us further. So all this is part of our journey. And so this can be an exploration, an adventure, as we begin this podcast. And I would like to invite you to join this as much as you can. Share this with people around you. The Conscious Awakening Network, as you know, is a free platform for viewers across many different apps and network channels. So I can't even remember which ones. I mean, there's Roku, there's Apple something, there's Amazon something. You can go to consciousawakeningnetwork.org and tune in there. There's different hosts. There's about 30 of us who are presenting different videos, talks, interviews with people. And there's live streams as well. So this is every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll go for an hour, perhaps, maybe longer, if we get into an active conversation. And it's definitely something I would like to make as interactive as possible. We might do meditations from time to time from different traditions that inspire us to open to aspects that have been forgotten and lost, inspire us to remember to connect with the body as an organic system, as a conscious, intelligent system, our own human bodies, and also the body of the earth. We listen to the earth. We listen to the trees and the stones. We listen to the animals and other forces of life. We learn to communicate with the whales and the frogs and everything that has resonance around us. We are born to be community, earth community, a new earth community at this time. And that's what we're discovering. So let us do this together. Let us find ourselves. Let us find our hearts. Let us find our souls. Let us find meaning. Let us find identity beyond this fake identity that has become so real for us, um, that we think is all there is. I'd like to maybe read you something that I received in a Facebook post a couple of days ago. It's a poem from Pablo Neruda. He's a Chilean poet, just so deeply passionate and um, so richly evocative of the soul. And let me see if I can find this. So I'm going to mess around with my screen. Um, I hope that you can still see me while I look for this and read this to you. It's all new to me, like I said, so let's make this experiment. All right, so now I'm going into the Facebook page and looking for this poem here. Where is it? All right. So it's a poem by Pablo Neruda. You start dying slowly if you do not travel, if you do not read, if you do not listen to the sounds of life, if you do not appreciate yourself. You start dying slowly when you kill your self-esteem, when you do not let others help you. You start dying slowly if you become a slave of your habits, walking every day on the same paths, if you do not change your routine, if you do not wear different colors, or you do not speak to those you don't know. You start dying slowly if you avoid to feel passion and the turbulent emotions, those which make your eyes glisten and your heart beat fast. You start dying slowly if you do not risk what is safe or the uncertain, if you do not go after a dream, if you do not allow yourself at least once in your lifetime to run away from sensible advice. Don't let yourself die slowly. Do not forget to be happy. So that's Pablo Neruda. Um, I think he received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1971. Um, if you haven't discovered him, look for him. Some of my favorite poets of this time, Neruda, there's Rainer Maria Rilke, there's of course Jalaluddin Rumi, and Hafiz. You know, they speak to the soul. They speak to the forgotten places within our hearts. They speak to the renewal of our um, conscious journeys. We have forgotten, we have lost so much, we have died so often to what is essential. And it's time to remember, it's time to be reborn, it's time to renew. And we can do this together. Um, Let me check the time. No idea how fast time goes in this stage. Okay, we've gone about 45 minutes. So let's go for another 15 minutes or so. Um, so I'm just going to ask myself a question that I'm assuming rests in the collective, and maybe respond to that. So, one thing I recognize is that anything that any of us experience belongs to all of us, whether it's a question that we carry within ourselves, whether it's it's a struggle that we go through, whether it's a fear that we've encountered, a story that we've gone through, they're not just our own. We are part of a collective. We sometimes it's difficult to even understand how much of it is mine and how much of it belongs to another. Sometimes we're so sensitive that we pick up things in the world around us and make them our own when they aren't. Sometimes they are our own and we forget, we deny, we suppress, we project, and then we pretend that we're somehow beyond that or above that or not enough, not good enough, not um, big enough, not smart enough. All these are stories, and it's time to um, acknowledge that these are stories so we can actually embrace the gift, the divineness, that inner child that comes up with so much wonder and spontaneity in each moment. So I remember as a child, wishing um, that is because one of my childhood heroes happened to be Peter Pan. And I know a lot's been said about the Peter Pan syndrome and, it's how people sometimes never grow up. But there's a difference between um, being childish all your life and being dependent or codependent, and being childlike, being spontaneous, being playful, being um, in the spontaneity, that Zen mind, the beginner's mind, where you're open to the mystery and wonder of life around you, where you're open to the unknown, where you're not stuck in the security of um, the known, but you're open to going beyond the known to find a deeper security in the great mystery, the unknown, which doesn't have to mean the uncomfortable, even though we sometimes make an association. Um, it reminds me also of Robert Frost. Some of you may know that poem. One of my favorites, actually, of the two roads diverging in a narrow wood. I'll see if I can remember that poem and um, recite that. Um, Two roads diverge in a narrow wood. I'm sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. So I had to make a choice. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I'm paraphrasing much of it and leaving out some things, some lines that I don't remember, but the essence of that is there's always choices. And sometimes we need to take choices that have not been made by us before, that are not easy, the road less traveled. Um, it's maybe darker. It's where many feet have not trod yet. Um, it's not a trail that's been traveled by many and therefore understood um, so often. So, are we willing to take those roads less traveled by? Are we willing to step into the unknown? Are we willing to go into the dark night, um, difficult as it may be, so we can find more of who we are? If that's our goal, to rediscover ourselves, those aspects that have been lost and forgotten, then the entire universe conspires with us to remember, to awaken, and that's our journey. So, um, we can call it anything we want: awakening, enlightenment, um, growing up, or growing down. It's the same. Sometimes I think growing up as the idea of losing spontaneity, losing that childlikeness, going down is simply connecting with the earth in new ways, connecting with the, the forces of life, the web of life that embraces us everywhere, that we are linked with at all times. So that's the challenge, and that's the opportunity that we're given. So thank you for traveling this path with me. I'm grateful that we can walk this path together, and none of us were meant to walk it alone. And so I'm happy to have this opportunity with the Age of Gaia to share what this journey is about. We play many different roles for each other, and we're here to support each other. That's what it means to be a Sangha, a community of people that are linked together in a common theme. And what is a common theme? So the Age of Gaia is about remembering and recreating a new world, a new earth community that is more nurturing, that is more purposeful, that is richer and deeper and freer and happier and more loving and kind and more inclusive and participatory, where all species have a voice, where Mother Earth is seen as this beautiful goddess that has invited us to this earth to participate and remember. None of us are separate from anything, any of it. So, in conclusion, I'll share an image from the Mahayana Buddhist tradition. It's known as the web or the net of Indra. Indra is the god that represents creation, or one of the gods that represents creation in the Buddhist tradition here. And so this net of Indra is perceived as a string of pearls. And each of these pearls is reflecting every other pearl. Each of these pearls contains every other pearl. And even more so, each of these pearls is every other pearl. That's the holographic view of the universe. This is the paradigm that we're moving into. It's a holographic paradigm of fractal realities. And what that means, as the old alchemists phrased it, as above, so below, as within, so without. What it basically means is the entire universe is within us. We are within Gaia as much as she is within us. We can participate in her evolution, in her journey of unfoldment by going deeply inside ourselves, by entering into a cellular consciousness, by going into the dark night, embracing the shadows, coming out of denial and fear, and recognizing that we're incredible beings of beauty and light. The universe is an incredible creation, and we are that. So we're looking at a multi-dimensional reality. I am that. As the ancient Hindus said, Tattvamasi, I am that. Or as Jesus pointed out, I am the Father, are one. I am the way, truth, and the life, but it's the I am presence, not the personal self. It's that universal self coming through and joining, merging with the personal self that is capable of realizing that I am. So that's our journey. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And so we'll continue next week. And